What is up, everyone? Welcome to Gaming on the Go. Today I thought I would run through the skills tree and kind of explain some of my thoughts about which skills to upgrade and which ones to just completely avoid. I've been playing this game for a little while now, and just from my experience, and these are just my thoughts, this is not something that might apply to you, but just from my experience, these are some of the things that I wish I would have done differently with the skills. Starting here in this combat tree, I highly recommend maxing out your fast and strong attack skills. But this one here, resolve, when taking damage from an unparried hit, the critical hit meter charge will not fall below 20%. Now this sounds like it's very helpful, and but from my experience, you should not be receiving any kind of unparried hit. If you're not parrying, then you're not paying attention to the little red icon that pops up over the enemy's health meter, letting you know when they're going to hit. You really should always at least parry. You should never just take a full-on damage from an enemy. So this one, I should have left it. I should have never upgraded this one, but I didn't know at the time because I was starting out and I didn't really know parrying, how to time the parrying correctly. But as you play the game and you gain more experience in how to do the fighting, you realize, yeah, you shouldn't be taking unparried damage. Precise blows, this one's pretty helpful. It increases your critical hit meter with each fast attack. And it only has one level, so that's great. This one here, same thing, but applies to strong attacks. This one is pretty useful because you're going to be parrying a lot. Whether you're doing a perfect parry or just a regular parry, it's always good to try to reduce damage. So try to upgrade this as much as you can. Increases critical hit damage by 8%. This is also very important because when you do a critical hit, especially if you time a perfect critical hit, you do the most damage. So trying to squeeze out as much critical hit damage as you can is going to be important. A perfect parry reflects 30% of damage back at the opponent. Yeah, this is important too, because if you watched my previous video on how to get at least one perfect parry every time in a fight, then this becomes important. Because, the thing about parrying is you not only want to reduce the damage you receive, but at the same time, it's nice that the enemy receives damage when you do parry. So this is quite helpful. Each successful parry charges a critical hit meter. Again, this is also pretty important because you want to try to you want to do everything you can to charge your critical hit meter as fast as you can so that you can do the more powerful hit. Slows time by an additional 5% while performing critical hit. Now, at first, this doesn't sound very important. Like, when the critical hit meter is fully charged, and then you got to time that little icon to fit inside the circle to do your critical hit. You think that, okay, I have plenty of time, time is already slow, but this actually comes in really handy, especially when you see the enemy attacking. To be able to slow time even further is very helpful. So eventually I'm going to upgrade that to 2. A perfectly timed critical hit delays opponent's next attack by 1 second. Well, you kind of have to get this anyways to move further down the tree. So, but it is important. And the thing about critical hit is that the nice thing about it is if you do get a perfect critical hit, it also kind of prevents them. If they're in the middle of attack, it totally prevents them from attacking you. So it kind of helps you to squeeze out another attack shortly after. The next attack after successful hit reflection deals 10% additional damage. Now, this one I wish I didn't upgrade. I thought it would be really helpful, but the 10% additional damage is just from your base damage, not 10% of the critical hit damage that you just performed. So yeah, after I upgraded this and I realized, oh shoot, after I got a perfect critical hit, my next hit, whether if it was a fast attack or a strong attack, it really didn't increase that by very much. And so I wish I didn't do this. I could have used the skill points for something else. So don't worry about upgrading that. Or at least I wouldn't. If I could do it over, I wouldn't have. Damage from unparried hits is reduced by 4%. Well, you kind of have to unlock this one anyways to move further down the tree. So, but other than that, don't upgrade it. Again, you should not be having unparried, taking unparried damage. Instantly gain some critical hit meter charge when entering combat. This one's kind of cool because it gives you it gives you enough, but it's almost like that potion that, well, the potion gives you a full critical hit meter when you enter a battle, but it's similar to this, but you don't get a full critical hit meter, you just get a little bit, so that at least it kind of gives you a running start and already charging up your critical hit meter. So this one is actually pretty helpful. Now this is what you get when you reach level 35. It allows a chance to survive the final blow of an opponent. This effect can only occur once per fight. Now, I have mixed feelings about this one. It's only a chance that this skill is going to take effect, and it doesn't take effect very often. So you're going to end up dying if, more often than not. And so this, yeah, if I could do it over, I probably wouldn't take this, because even during the times, the few times that this skill has taken effect, it's like, well, if I just time my critical hits a little bit better, or if I parried a little bit better, I would have survived, fighting against a more difficult opponent. Because one of the other skills that you're going to see later, I'm going to show you later, under the science category, is much more effective in letting you win against tougher opponents than this is. So this is probably one of the ones that, once you've kind of maxed out all the other ones, and if you happen to still have some skill points, yeah, then get this one. But I would not go for this one at your first opportunity. Now under alchemy, I noticed I'm level 35 right now, and I noticed that most of my fights I don't use potions, and so I don't really rely upon this skill tree very much. I can easy opponents are very easy, medium opponents are very easy, and the vast majority of the hard opponents I can kill without using any potions. It's only the legendary ones and very few hard ones like the elemental class or the golem. They're very hard to kill without potions. So the ones that I recommend, of course, go down. You have to get the ones going all the way down. If you want, eventually I want to unlock this one where you have a chance to get a free potion basically when you craft the potion. That's just a nice perk to have. I mean, if you're gonna craft potions, you might as well get an extra one. But some of these other ones, I didn't even bother. I don't care about oil effectiveness, critical hit damage against the monster class. Yeah, these are a lot of extra potions that you will need to craft and carry around with you, just taking up space in your inventory. And it's just not useful for me because I don't use potions very often. So yeah, the bombs one, I would probably work on this one. That's the reason why I upgraded this one time for now. But eventually I'm going to max this out, because the only bomb that I really ever use when I'm fighting against an opponent that's really difficult are basic bombs. Because with all my combat skills that I have and with the signs that I have, it's fairly easy to kill most opponents for me. So, and on the tougher ones, I do just use regular bombs, because regular bombs with a couple of good potions is plain sufficient. You don't need to craft the specialized bombs for the different monster classes. Damage dealt by bombs charges a critical hit meter. Yeah, I'll probably get this too, because anything to charge up the critical hit meter is always very helpful. Oil effectiveness, yeah, I don't care about that. Now signs, this is probably one of the most, second to the combat is the most skill tree, most important skill tree. Now, the thing that I didn't do is I didn't upgrade my Pyromaniac, because in my experience, I hardly ever use Igni and I hardly ever use Ard. I only use QUEN. And so upgrading Pyromaniac is not useful for me, because I can kill a vast majority of my opponents just using QUEN. And on very rare occasions, I'll use Igni at the very last second if they just have a sliver of life left, and the next blow is going to kill me. I'll use it, but I also use a different fighting strategy at the very end, regardless of whether they're strong attack or fast attack creatures. So I'll show you that in a different video. But for now, I don't recommend upgrading Pyromaniac. While casting signs, time is slowed by 45%. Again, this is just like the critical hit one. It's actually helpful to slow time down, because sometimes when you're in the middle of casting a sign, you don't want the opponent to hit you. Enables casting a sign that inflicts kinetic damage hard. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of forced to unlock this anyways. Yeah, I should not have upgraded this, because I never use Ard. Even if it's against an opponent that is susceptible to kinetic damage, I'm so used to just using QUEN, and I'm so used to just doing a quick V motion for Igni that I never think about using Ard. And usually by the time I use Igni at the very end, when they have a sliver, Igni does enough damage along with my regular attacks to be able to finish off an opponent pretty quickly at the end. So I don't bother with Ard. So I shouldn't have upgraded that one. So it enables casting a sign to absorb 70% of damage taken. Now QUEN is the ultimate sign. This is the one that I use all the time in every battle. And this, in combination with this, reflects 25% of absorbed damage back at the opponent, is super helpful, because anytime somebody attacks you while you're using QUEN, not only do you receive a significantly reduced amount of damage, but the opponent also takes 25% of the damage that they dealt back at them. So yeah, there's been many times when the opponent basically killed himself because he attacked me while I had QUEN on. So that's very helpful. This one, each successfully cast sign charges a critical hit meter. Again, this is important, but you kind of have to unlock it anyways. So now this one, I'll talk about this one first. This is so awesome. This, when you use a sign, you have a chance of the sign being fully recharged again, so that you're ready to cast another sign right after it. And I use this with QUEN all the time, because sometimes when you're I gotta say, the chance here, it sounds like, once in a blue moon, but there's been many times where this skill has come into effect like multiple times within the match, within the round, like one after the other. I've had 3 or 4 times when I casted QUEN, and then it was immediately charged again. So when the opponent attacked and my QUEN is gone, I can cast QUEN again. And I did this a few times, one after each other. So this is super helpful. But in order to get that, you have to unlock all 3 of these, where casting the sign is going to charge the critical hit meter. So it's helpful. So they're helpful, but at the same time, I was hoping that I wouldn't have to upgrade this, because it does cost a lot of skill points to unlock these. And since I don't really use Igni or ARD very often, I didn't think it was very helpful. But you're kind of stuck. You have to unlock it in order to unlock Gorged on Power. So yeah, those are the skills that I use most often, and some of the ones I kind of regret upgrading, but I still have a lot of monsters in my bestiary that I have to max out to gain some more additional skill points. And I still gotta get up to level 40 eventually one of these days. So that was just a quick rundown of skills that I feel that are very important. And in one of my next videos, I'll show you how some of these skills work and how it's easier. It has become much easier to kill medium and hard opponents without having to rely upon bombs and oils and potions. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And until next time, keep gaming on the go.